What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Logisticalstyles coming at you with another video. This time we're going to pick up where we left off about a month ago with our introduction to DJing series. This is going to be the second video in the installment where we're going to talk a little bit more about beat mixing and what it takes to get from one deck to the other deck when you're transitioning from your song A to song B. We had an overview of DJing and the basics of it in the previous video. If you want to go back and look over those and review that, then you can jump in and pick up from here. Previously in the other video, I gave a large overview of how I'm transitioning from song A to song B. In this video, we're going to get a little deeper into beat mixing itself and everything that goes and is involved with. So now let's hop into it. I'll give you the overhead view and you can see what I'm doing with my hands, and then we'll also switch into the screen view so you can see what's happening within Serato, and it helps you visualize my motions a little bit better. Okay, so here's the setup we have. The two decks, deck A, deck B, deck 1, deck 2, and the volume sliders for each deck with the crossfader, which helps you transition your volume from deck A to deck B. Just for clarity and for continuity, I'm going to use the terminology deck 1 and deck 2 because that's what's written on the hardware, and that is how it's labeled within Serato, deck 1 and deck 2. Now here on the screen you see that I am in my Logisticalstyles crate. This is where I have all of my beats and everything that I've made. And what we're going to do is we are going to load a song onto each deck, and we're going to go through the paces of actually lining the speed up so we can mix them in together. And the first thing to do is to actually load a song. There's a couple of ways to do it, really depending on what hardware you're using. I'm going to probably just go directly from, well, I'll jump around because some people may have this mixer and they would like to see how to load and scroll through their library. And you can do that by holding the shift button and this loop knob, and this will allow you to scroll up and down through your crate, your playlist, whatever you're in. The only drawback to it with this mixer is you can't jump out of the crate to go into another playlist. You have to use the trackpad or a mouse to do that, unless you have another piece of gear, which in this case I have the Range 12 MK2, which has the scroll and load knob, and then it also has a back button. This back button allows me to jump out of one crate list, the list of crates, and allows me to jump into the crate, and I can now scroll through there, and if I press down I can load. Now this feature can be found on some mixers like the 72, the 70, I think even Pioneer has their own scroll and load knobs that you can use to get within the crates, and other controllers have this as well. But if you don't, you can always use the keypad on your laptop, the trackpad on your laptop. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to load this song right here, scheduled maintenance. It is 120 BPM, beats per minute. So I'm going to load that by pressing the load knob, and we can see that when you load the song onto the deck, you get that information that's important, the speed of the song, how long the song is. Down here, this actually shows how much time you have left, and this shows how much time you've played already. This shows what your pitch control is, whether you're plus or minus a certain amount, and you'll notice as I'm moving the pitch control on the deck, the physical deck itself, you can see it corresponding here in the program, moving up and then moving down. So that's how your speed moves up and moves down. And this is going to be important because this is how you're going to match up records that don't have the same exact speed. So if I go down here into this playlist, I'm going to pull a song that is, let's say this one, Africa Beat, is 127. So that's a big range or a big difference between the speeds, but we're just doing this so you can see how mixing takes place. So I'm going to load that onto deck 2, and I did that using the keyboard shortcut on my laptop, which is Shift and the arrow key. Shift arrow left loads it to the left, shift arrow right loads it to the right. So now I've got two songs loaded on my decks, and they're two different speeds. If I play this song right here, Scheduled Maintenance, if I bring that up to play it, you can hear the music playing. And if I were to bring in the other song, Africa Beat, and even though I'm going to bring it in on the downbeat, boom, 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 for a second or so, they were like the first couple of beats, they sounded like they were together, but immediately they went off because the song Africa Beat is 127 BPM. So this song is much faster than this song. So now I have a couple of decisions to make. Do I want to speed this song up so that it matches the speed of the other song? And that would work, but that's a big jump for that song, to come from a song that's 127 BPM to from 120 BPM to 127. You'll notice a difference. Even with some key lock on, you'll hear that the song is definitely going faster than it was intended to. So if I were to slow it down a little bit, you can hear the difference in the speed of the beats. The beats are speeding up. So this is 120, the native or the actual speed of the song. I want to speed it up just a little bit. I'll probably bring it up to 124. And that means with this song, I got to bring it down so we can come to a common ground, a common speed. And this makes it a little bit more natural. It's a little give and take on each deck. And then eventually, once you transition to this song, you can bring the speed up to the speed it's supposed to be. But you'll see now when I release it, they stay together. I can go back and forth and the songs still stay together. And I switch the crossfader over to this deck. So now this is the song that's playing, but the beat remained. The beat remained. If you were dancing to this first song, Scheduled Maintenance, you could still continue to keep your rhythm as I transition to this song, Africa Beat. Now that Africa Beat is the song that's playing out of the mixer, the main, I can slowly speed it up to get it back to its natural speed. So now that I've got that song playing, it's time to choose the next song, which will start from deck 1. So even though this deck is spinning, it's not playing any music out of the main speakers because the crossfader is all the way over to the right. So now I can even stop the deck. I can scroll through my library and find another song that would probably fit. So I found a song that's it's not so much of a jump, it's only a difference of 1 BPM. This song right here called Tribal Rhythms. It's 128 BPM, and we're going to load it on deck number 1. Now, because I had made adjustments to the pitch control with the other song I was playing, when I load this song and don't have the pitch control back to 0, you'll see that the song that loaded up, Tribal Rhythms, even though it says it's 128 BPM, when it hit the deck, it was 132. The reason being, my pitch control was not at the 0. If I go back to the 0, now I got a song that's 128 BPM. So you always have to be cognizant or be aware of where your pitch slider is and be aware of the BPM that you're trying to mix in. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this deck down to match the speed of Africa Beat, and then bring the crossfader in. You can use your hand to speed up or slow the record down as well. You make a lot of fine adjustments. And now, in this particular instance, the song that I was mixing out of, it ended. So it actually ended there. But it was seamless because my beats were matched up. I was already at the right BPM and they were already mixed together. The crossfader was in the middle. So when that song ended, it didn't matter because the song just took over. Song on deck 1 took over. So I'm going to throw my crossfader over there. So now this deck is the one that's putting out the music. This deck, even if I was to bring the song back to the beginning by hitting the cue point on the mixer, we're going to get into these other controls as I go deeper into these lessons. But what I did was these buttons right here, these all indicate points in the song that I've marked, and I can jump back and forth to those different points just by hitting them. If it's red, that means a point has been set. If it's not lit up, that means it's an empty slot that I haven't chosen yet. When I load my songs or when I mark my songs, I usually put the first downbeat as the first cue point. So if I need to, I can always start a song over really quickly, like this. And so what I was doing was hitting the cue point for the song on deck 1 and bringing it back. And you can do that with just any part of the song. Create these little cue points. And when you get enough of them, you can almost kind of make yourself a rhythm. They call that finger drumming, but you can find different sounds to, do finger drumming with. But that's not the focus of this lesson. We're looking at beat mixing. So now that I got this song going at 127 BPM, I can bring it back up to the 0 point, which is its native speed. And technically, you don't even have to do that. You could leave the record playing at the speed that you mixed it in. If it's not that noticeable, I say just leave it and then look for your next song that you want to bring in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll through the playlist to find something else that isn't exactly the same. And this one right here, it's not necessarily a house song, but it's similar BPM. Let's see if we can mix these songs in together. This one is called Funk Festival. And this song has no cue points laid out yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit that first cue point. So I have that first beat. And then I'm going to work on speeding up this track. And you try to be a little subtle about it. And if it's not a huge jump, then I say go for it. Bring it all the way up to the speed it's supposed to be, or you're trying to mix it into. So now we got matching speeds. And I'm listening to the kick, the downbeat. Boom, 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 boom. And remember, that speed of 131 BPM means that you hear boom, 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 131 times in a minute. So this next song is at the same speed, and I'm going to bring it in on a boom, 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 boom. And then you can use your knobs right here to even fade out. Remove some bass from the outgoing song. Creates kind of a filter, or you can actually just use the filter. Filter that song right on out. Bring the volume down. Slam the crossfader over. You've transitioned from tribal rhythms over to Funk Festival. I'm going to stop that deck because it's not playing anymore. There's no more music coming out of it. So I'm going to take this time to scroll through, and then you look for another song to load. And this is pretty much what your night as a DJ is going to be, transitioning from song to song. You want to be able to have a good, clean transition and that allows your dancers to continue dancing without pausing every time you change the record. All right, so let's switch camera real quick and let's go over this and get a quick synopsis of what we've done so far. So that was a quick overview on what I'm doing when I'm transitioning from song A to song B. Basically, it's beat mixing. You're mixing the beats together based upon their speed. So you're taking a song that is 120 BPM and you're speeding it up to match the incoming song, which might be 125 BPM. Or you may slow down the incoming song from 125 BPM down to meet somewhere with the incoming song. So you can speed up a little, you can slow down a little till you find a common speed, or you can slow it down to match the outgoing speed, or you can speed it up to match the incoming song. So you have a couple of options that you can do. And then once you have them lined up and you're making your transition from deck A to deck B, then you can also incorporate some sound sculpting techniques, such as removing the bass from the outgoing song, or the mid, and then eventually the treble, or you might just filter the song all the way out using a filter knob if your mixer or controller has that option. Most mixers and controllers at least have a bass, mid, and high knob, along with a gain to fine-tune your volume. And then filters are becoming even more and more popular on mixers, just kind of a standard feature, so you can expect to have a filter available as well. Now there are also some other more advanced techniques using the effects on your mixer or the effects within your software, but we'll get into that in another lesson. But hopefully this was a quick lesson that gives you an idea or gives you something to think about or practice if you're a new DJ, and this will get you up to speed to take more advanced lessons and you actually know what you're talking about and you don't have to start from the basics. So practice these techniques, use some music, feel free to download music. I'll put a link in the description to my music, which is available on SoundCloud, that you can download and use as well to practice with. So continue to practice and look out for the next video. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not a subscriber, and I'll see you around.